If you had inklings that Moore might not have been the most upstanding person, how in the world, Ward Manuel, do you not go a different direction?
The number one thing is to make people say no.
Absolutely.
You know they're unrealistic, but I'm calling Cignetti. I'm calling Freeman.
How lucky Michigan is to have Biff Poggi as the interim. Somebody who's not going to be the long-term guy. You know, I'm sure he's gunning for the job. He's not going to be the long-term guy, but how fortunate Michigan is in this moment to have somebody like Biff, who the players love and respect and trust, to pull this team together. So, what you guys want to talk about this week?
Oh, I've got a lot of things.
Anything going on?
For some reason, it feels like every time we start to talk through, because we literally just got done doing an episode about Sherrone Moore and how we were both in agreement of like, yeah, give him one more year.
Nope.
Now he's looking at numerous years, but not on the playing field.
Give him like 48 hours or whatever. This is the Rivalry Podcast. I'm Jace. That's JP. It's Michigan and Ohio State, greatest rivalry in all of college football and all of sports, from River Radio Ministries, presented by our friends at Elevated Integrity Construction. And one of the things that we do our best to do here on this podcast that does make this unique, in addition to being the first that we can tell Ohio State Michigan podcast to sit down and do this over the last 6-7 years, is we try and make just real sure that the way we talk about different things is okay for your kids in the car or whatever. So don't worry. We're not going to go into the details of the Sherrone Moore incident and indiscretions and whatever.
Notes.
Well, throw them out, man.
Right.
You should know.
Okay, well,
but we do need to start there with Sherrone, with the Michigan coaching search. That's obviously the biggest story probably in college football right now outside of the CFP. And then we're going to break down some of the college football playoff first round games. We'll get to, in the coming weeks, Michigan's game against Texas a little bit closer. We'll get to Ohio State against the winner of A&M Miami, but we'll just talk Michigan coaching search, college football playoffs, because even if your team's not playing, it's a great week of college football. It really is.
Bowl game started this past weekend. The Army-Navy game was amazing.
Army-Navy was good.
It was awesome. You had Washington-Boise later on that evening.
Great
Washington
win.
Absolutely smacked them.
Great win for future Michigan head coach Jedd Fisch. I mean, he was a future coach.
Yeah.
But let's start our wheel route, brought to you by the Ohio Sinus Institute. Let's start with the Michigan coaching search.
Yeah.
Suffice it to say, you're probably well aware of the details around Michigan's firing of Sherrone Moore for cause. Like I mentioned, we're not going to repeat all the different ins and outs of that right now. You can figure it out for yourself. You can read the articles. We do have an emergency podcast episode that went up on our YouTube channel at Rival Pod on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe there and across social media at Rival Pod as well. But the newer details that seem to be coming out are things like, well, did the athletic department, particularly Ward Manuel, the AD, did he know that this was going on? Was it actually the worst kept secret in the building? How much did he know? How much did he need evidence that he need to have to terminate?
Yeah.
All of these questions. And the answer is nobody knows. Like, and genuinely, like, I don't think anybody really has a good answer. There are a lot of people who like to operate like they're insiders, even in the coaching search itself of, oh, this person's a hot name. There's smoke over here. In the words of the great John Bacon, nobody knows anything. And that's really where this sits. Obviously, the entire situation is incredibly sad from a personal standpoint for Sherrone's family and everybody involved. From a football standpoint, I mean, this is not a good position for Michigan to find themselves in.
Yeah, the timing of it unfortunate. The circumstances are all unfortunate, and so we've obviously gone into what the Moore situation looked like. There's been more things that have come to light because of that, none of which are good.
No.
But let's focus, I guess, a little bit more on the football side of things, because you can look up all the rumors and everything like that on your own time. When it comes to the football side of things, who takes over the helm of this program? And then what does that look like for guys that this broke not soon after National Signing Day, where you have a bunch of recruits coming in thinking Moore's still the guy, And
I mean, it was the night of National Signing Day.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it was Wednesday.
Yeah, it was Wednesday night. And so you have this big change happen, and you already saw, and this is coming from the Ohio State side, you saw just how dramatic that can really alter that day for you, because Chris Henry Jr. almost decommits from the Buckeyes after previously shutting it down and blocking out any rumors, and Hartline decides to go, and now all of a sudden everything's up in the air. And that was our offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Now imagine taking the main guy and switching that out.
Yeah.
So I know there's been rumors, there's been names that have been floated around. At the end of the day, who do you think the guy is?
Yeah. There's a lot packed in there, and purposely so. So I would say this. Having in the interim, and Jake Butt and Devin Gardner have a great podcast, if you're a Michigan guy, called The Blueprint, where they were talking about this. And Jake Butt really went into how lucky Michigan is to have Biff Poggi as the interim. Somebody who's not going to be the long-term guy. You know, I'm sure he's gunning for the job. He's not going to be the long-term guy, but how fortunate Michigan is in this moment to have somebody like Biff, who the players love and respect and trust, to hold this team together. Because let's start with that on the player side of it.
Mm-hmm.
Is, I mean, the number one question people are having, and we talked about this on the Emergency Pod episode on YouTube, is guys like, let's say, I mean, Bryce Underwood's going to be the biggest name there, right?
Yeah.
His phone's been blowing up for a week now. And there is a real danger, I think. Here's a kid who, I have no doubt that he loves being at Michigan, but at the same time was originally an LSU commit. Michigan came in, got their boosters together, and threw a ton of money his way. He decided to stay home. I mean, he's a kid from Belleville, right down the road, decided to stay home. Now, though, I mean, let's take a program like LSU. You're now, if you're LSU, you're now going back to a kid who clearly liked the program to begin with because he committed there, going back to him saying, hey, we can, let's say we can match that money, or we can get similar to it. And also, we just hired the hottest name in the coaching carousel. Whatever you think of Lane Kiffin, I'm not a big fan, but I mean, that was the guy,
done.
right?
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, who's your head coach right now? I mean, you can start planting those seeds in there, and understandably so. And by the way, I don't know that I would fault the kid. I don't want it to happen. I'm not suggesting it will, but it certainly could happen. What about some of these high level commits? Savion Hyder, the number one running back of the class, has already said, people were talking about, oh, he asked to opt out of his letter, and he shut that down and said, no, I did not. But that doesn't mean he won't. Michigan has seen a couple signees decommit. Bear McWhirter, 3-star offensive lineman, 4-star tight end also decommitted, which Michigan, has an abundance of tight end play. But still, like, those are things you're going to have to watch, because you have the portal opening January 2nd for current players. And then once you hire a new coach, you then have 15 days. It used to be where as soon as the coach was fired, you had a certain period of time. That's not how it works anymore. You've got the January 2nd to January 15 window, or whatever it is. Yeah. And then you have 15 days after the hiring of the new coach to decide if you want to transfer out or not. So if you're Michigan, you certainly better have a guy by January 2nd when the portal opens. But even if you do, you're still going to have that window. Obviously, you'd like that to overlap as much as you can. Yeah. So that's the player side of it. That's the player side of it. I have not heard. We're recording Monday morning, and the problem with doing a weekly podcast is this stuff can change like that.
As you saw last week.
As of Monday morning, I have not seen any current players, make any indication that they may hit the portal. They can't hit it yet, but I've not seen any indication that they will.
Well, and you've seen people already make statements that they're either returning or coming back. Malik Washington over the weekend from Maryland said that he was going to sign on to come back, which is a weird time for us. I saw somebody post a picture. I don't even remember what player it was. That if you've ever seen like the NFL rookie contracts, they always have like the nice picture of them behind a desk with the team hat and they're signing the contract. They started doing that with college players, where this team had posted saying this guy's going to return to us next year, and he's sitting down with his ball cap on and he's signing the form. And that's
weird. Yeah,
I knew that it was already happening, but it was just weird to like visually see it in front of me. So players could still, like you said, they could come out today and say, hey, when this opens up, I'm going to go.
Yeah. And I don't know that they I don't know that they would do that as much as they might wait until the portal hits, unless you're hoping that you're trying to get guys to start reaching. I mean, I'm sure if you've got a player on Michigan that you really want, I'm sure you're reaching out already.
Oh, right? For sure.
On the coaching side of things, this is where it drives me nuts because there are all these quote unquote insiders who are like, well, there's the smoke here and this is happening here. And nobody, again, John Bacon, nobody knows anything. Here's the only things that I trust at this point are that, number one, there was a report that said, hey, Michigan reached out to, the agent or the people or whatever around Kenny Dillingham, and that they reached out to the folks around Eli Drinkwitz at Mizzou. Mm-hmm. I fully believe that there is plenty more that they have reached out to.
For sure.
I'm going to hope that there are plenty more they've reached out to.
Please reach out to other people.
So, but as far as, well, who's most likely to do it, there's all this rumor that Dillingham, that his bet had been locked, and this was, nobody knows anything. If I'm sitting here right now and you said, hey, tell me the guys that you want. It's guys that probably ain't coming, right? I mean, I said this on the emergency pod as well, but I mean, I'd be making calls, and I think you still should. You need to make these guys say no, but I'd be making calls to Marcus Freeman.
100%. I actually saw,
go ahead.
I don't even remember who this was. I feel like it was actually a TV personality that was talking about this exact situation, and they said, the number one thing is to make people say no.
Absolutely.
They're unrealistic, but I'm calling Signetti. I'm calling Freeman. It's not going to happen, but you're going to force them to go say. Dan Lanning was another one that was thrown out in that exact conversation. Yeah. I didn't write those guys down because it's
unlikely, but again, there is that level of the Brady Hoke. This is Michigan, for gosh sakes. Mm-hmm. There is some appeal there. And by the way, just like there would be if Ohio State were in this situation.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, these are
you got to do the due diligence.
These are two of the best jobs. And someone tried to tell me the other day that Michigan was like the 8th or 9th best job in college football. I'm like, brother, Ohio State and Michigan are like both in the top 5.
Yeah, and it's not even close.
Tell me 8 jobs better than Michigan. Kalen DeBoer has obviously been a hot name. That is probably most people's realistic number one choice right now, is to go get a guy like Kalen DeBoer, has experience at Eastern Michigan, has family in Ypsilanti, right outside Ann Arbor.
It's not a real place.
Excuse me. Ypsilanti.
I know it is. I've seen the sign,
that's
but
where
it just
Eastern
sounds
Michigan
fake.
is.
It's like Kalamazoo being a real thing. You just don't want to believe it.
I've tried to tell my kids Kalamazoo is a real place.
I've been there.
They're like, that sounds like a Dr. Seuss thing. Like, it does, but it's real. Also, have you ever heard of the Zilwaukee Bridge or the Zilwaukee River?
Michigan is a fake state.
Michigan's not
confirmed. But this conversation confirms it.
Kalen DeBoer's high up on the list. DeBoer, of course, and again, we're recording Monday morning, so this stuff can change like that. Kalen DeBoer made a statement over the weekend talking about, I'm committed to Alabama and I'm focused on our team and blah, blah, blah. And my response is, sure, Jan.
Yeah. Well, because what's he going to say? He's prepping for a game this weekend.
Yeah, I'm a little bit distracted. This week.
Hold on. Michigan's calling real quick. No.
Yes, Ward. Hold on, please.
Hold on, please.
Anyway, I'm excited to play Oklahoma State this week.
Definitely not talking to Michigan. Oh, hey, Bryce, I'll be there next week.
Yeah, I mean,
get out of here.
Ahead of this playoff game, I'm distracted for real. Like, what do you want him to say?
Yeah.
And the same thing with Dillingham. Dillingham talks about how much he loves Arizona State, which I fully believe.
For sure.
1,000% believe. And talks about, Michigan, that'll be a great opportunity for somebody. Are you the somebody though?
Well, and that's what's weird is like,
what do you want
watching
them to
that
say?
press conference? And I forget the exact verbiage that I saw.
But he was emotional about it.
He was like verge of tears, getting choked up about this, talking about how special of a place Arizona State is. And I'm just going,
that tells me that you're thinking about it.
If you're not going to leave, you're not going to get sad about leaving the place that you're at.
Yeah.
That's just not a common thing. So,
yeah, so I mean, those are two guys on there. If I were a betting man right now, and I have no inside info on this, this is just gut feel. I would say Jedd Fisch is probably the next coach.
Yeah,
and is it a terrible hire? No, I don't think it's a terrible hire. Is it one that excites me? It's not. But so much of this, I have to remind myself. Joel Klatt talks a lot about: do you want to win the press conference or win the hire? Mm-hmm. And it's impossible to tell. When A&M, and this is the example I go back to, when A&M hired Jimbo Fisher, they won the press conference. Would anybody say that they won the hire? I don't think so. Mm-hmm. I don't think so. No, you can lose both. You can absolutely lose both.
You don't want that.
You can hire Brian Kelly right now and lose both. But, would Jedd Fisch win the press conference? Not for me, but could it could it be the right hire? Yeah, sure could. I mean, he did a great job at Arizona. I think he's done a decent job at Washington, coming in also after they just got absolutely gutted. I mean, not unlike the situation Sherrone was in after that national championship run, where all these guys leave and now you've got a new guy thrust into the program, and what do you do with it?
I think for me, while it's not this like home run hire, like you're saying, you're not going to win the press conference with it. I do still think any of those guys, any Dillingham, you've got Fisch, if you get DeBoer, any of those guys at least still bring a little bit of energy and a little bit of excitement. Well, it's not like you're going to see that and be completely a dud.
No.
I think the only reason something like that happens is if you pull out some guy that's never been a head coach or you do another internal hire. I think something like that where like if for whatever reason they get Haagen-Dazs loving Biff Poggi out there and they make him the full-time, I think that disappoints you. It should disappoint you a little bit.
The only reason that Biff would disappoint me is I mean, and
you'd win the press conference for sure.
Well, I don't know that you do though, because I think here's the thing. That does not feel like a long-term solution. No. And that's nothing against Biff. I love having Biff on staff, but I mean, it's looking at his age and going, it feels almost like, and I love Biff far more than I love Wink and Martindale, but I've said Wink has always felt like a rental.
Mm-hmm.
Now the good news, if you will, on the football side about this whole thing is that I don't see a world where Wink gets retained. So that's good.
Yeah, I think whoever ends up taking this job is going to get a completely new staff.
But Biff Poggi being named head coach, like for real, that would feel like a rental to me. And I think that's going to be really hard. The guy that I do not have any interest in would be Eli Drinkwitz. And again, they've reached out to him. I hope it's just due diligence, whatever. No interest. That is one that would I be upset about the Fisch hire? I'm not going to be thrilled about it, but I'm willing to wait and see. Drink, I would be absolutely furious about. Also, Brian Kelly, they've already said, no, that man is not interviewing for this job.
How far do you have to fall for like this guy that used to be would have been a home run hire for a lot of programs to just look at this. Yeah. And I don't disagree with any of your points. I actually feel like a couple of years ago when Moore got hired, I said the same thing about him, where I said, this isn't a guy that you're looking at long-term. You're realistically, I mean, unless something really, really pans out, bringing in an internal hire that his only real head coach experience was being an interim when Harbaugh was out. And I brought this concern up and I didn't think it was going to end the way it did.
Well, sure,
but I thought, and I thought you saw that progress even these past two seasons where he had talent and at times I thought overperformed record wise.
Yeah.
But still felt like something was missing. You felt like that gear to get you to the next level didn't exist with him. Well, and so despite these 9-3s and 8-4 records and all this stuff where with bad quarterback play, and you're still looking at him going, I'm questioning this, even though there's a abundance of young talent. You're one of the youngest teams and you play decent. I thought you played decent throughout the season.
Well, I mean, a 9-3 record, and look, I get Michigan did not have. I thought Michigan's schedule was tougher than people gave it credit for, but I also think that from Michigan did get a lot of favorable matchups. That you got that stretch of Michigan State, Purdue, Northwestern, and you made it more difficult than it needed to be.
100%.
And I don't mean to be insensitive when I say this, but I do think that it doesn't explain everything, and I'm don't hear me saying anything I'm not saying. Goodness gracious, no wonder that our team looks unprepared and that our team looks unfocused at times. If your head coach is off with these indiscretions over here, how can you possibly be a leader that can forget the football, but just like a leader of like these young men as people? How are they supposed to, especially if there's rumors about it and whatever else, How are they supposed to trust you? How are you supposed to be their mentor? How are you if you're messing around over here?
Yeah. At the end of the day, Michigan's got to find the right guy that's not like the culture they currently have. I forget what the stat was, but it was like, and this isn't going into the whole athletic department because you know more about that than I do. But you had the Juwan Howard situation. You said something about the hockey situation.
Mel Pearson, and again, the Stallions Harbaugh thing. I don't even put in the same category.
But I'm not even saying you're just saying that. I'm saying in the Harbaugh era, the amount of coaches and issues that arrived. Not that it was necessarily just on him, but like the football program's been a major. This is the second big scandal.
You should never
from that, and you also had
your vetting process should have. Your vetting process should have never hired Connor Stallions. No. And that's not me, again, that's not rehashing or me saying, this was the worst, blah, blah. That's just going, this dude is clearly he knows football apparently, but he's clearly a wacko.
And that's the football side of it.
And also, if you had inklings that Moore might not have been the most upstanding person, how in the world, Ward Manuel, do you not go a different direction? And so eventually, and this is why Michigan's hired this firm to go, let's do an internal investigation.
Yeah.
Good.
Because it's necessary.
And also, too little, too late in one sense, but also good on the university for going, hey, we need to clean house. And I was talking to my dad this weekend, and he was saying, you know what? He's like, I realized that it could cost you a year, and it could have fallout and all this other stuff. But my dad's a great dude, and he said, yeah, of course you have to get rid of Sherrone. He said, get rid of Ward. He said, it's time to clean house because you're going to be better for it in the long run.
Yeah. Well, because I don't think he's proven that he could be the guy to lead that. You're talking about leadership, and it starts at the top. And Ward's been that guy. And you're seeing all these issues from every single athletic team. Michigan having two big scandals in a couple of years. Several of their coaches all having arrests is not what you want around young kids. I mean, these are young adults. They're 18-year-old guys coming into this program.
The adults in the room have to be the adults in the room.
Yeah, 100%.
And by the way, I'll just say this. As much as I may not love, the Fisch hire, or, I'm iffy on Dillingham, and all that stuff, I saw somebody remark, and I think it's true. You telling me that Sherrone Moore was an upgrade over any of those guys? Or you're telling me, I guess let me rephrase it. You're telling me that any of those guys wouldn't be an upgrade over Moore 100%. From a football standpoint. Yeah, I guess I'm not saying...
Eli would have been, in my opinion. I think so. I think so. I'm not saying I want him to be, I don't think he should be the option, but I would, any of the ones that we've listed so far, I would have taken over Moore years ago.
You better figure it out quick. It's got to be in place before January 2nd. Again, all these people, but watch our luck, man. We record Monday mornings. Watch our luck at 11:30 today while you're finishing up, getting ready to post this on YouTube. Jedd Fisch will be named the next head coach at Michigan.
See, and I know you were just saying you don't think that would really be like some monumental thing. I actually think he's the best fit, and I don't even think it's close. And I know the hot rumor right now is Dillingham is basically a done deal. I think Jedd Fisch should be the guy. I think you look at what he's done with Damon Williams, and to me, that's very similar to what you have in a Bryce Underwood. Talk about a guy that can go and help a guy like that.
And I think that's fair.
And he's got Michigan ties already. I mean, I know it's not the flashy hire, but you don't have a flashy hire anymore. DeBoer is the real guy left, and I think with him, it really just dives down to what happens this weekend.
We are all Oklahoma fans this weekend. Boomer Sooner, man.
I think Oklahoma wins that one, and they walk out with 4 losses on the year.
Maybe there's a chance.
You've got a chance. And Simpson gone.
I want to see that black hoodie of death, but with a big block M and a little script Michigan on there. Let's get to that game here in a second. But before we get there, here's what I want to do. I want to take one of these what we'll call lower level college football playoff games. Let's talk about actual football on the field now. Yeah. I don't think there's a lot to talk about this one in particular, but they are in the playoff. We have already seen this game.
It was not a good game.
Tulane at Ole Miss.
This is my issue, and we talked about it last week.
I mean, you could talk about it again. It's because I think it's a fair point.
Because we talked about it with the college football playoffs after the bracket got announced, and I was on the side, Tulane, JMU should not have even been involved. Give me the 12 best teams, and let's roll. And I think this has been a good example. Because there are some circumstances where I've seen what I've seen, and I'm fine with a rematch. And actually, 2 of these first 4 opening games are rematches.
Oklahoma,
and I think they prove my point. Because we're going to talk about the Alabama-Oklahoma game, which was a close one earlier in the year, where Oklahoma won 23-21. that's a game that I'm fine rewatching because it felt much like Oregon, Ohio State last year, where Ohio State loses, but you walked away going, that was an amazing game.
Yeah.
I want to see those two teams play again. If you see, and it would have to be in a natty, if you were to see Ohio State and Indiana, I don't think the country is going to be sad about that.
No.
You would, because Ohio State would be in there.
Yeah,
but
I mean, fair.
But it would be a heck of a football game. Then I see matchups like this one where I go, Tulane and Ole Miss. Didn't I watch that? Oh, yeah, I did watch that. And it was 45-10.
Yeah.
And it was like watching Texas Tech play BYU in the championship game. And I watched this and it wasn't fun the first time. Why would it be fun the second time? And it also wasn't fun the second time. And so I'm looking at this matchup going, what does Tulane have to do to win? And the short answer is pray Ole Miss doesn't show, which isn't going to happen.
Now, hold on, though, because Tulane did beat ACC champion Duke this year.
Doesn't matter.
And then got blasted by our boys at UTSA. Birds up, man. Meep Nation, what up? Tulane is a very middle of the road team on both sides of the ball. They're not a bad team, but they're just not in the same stratosphere as these Power 4 teams.
One of the things, and I know that the Green Wave fans are going to be upset with me, one of my notes for this was there's no wow player for Tulane. Yeah. I know they've got their quarterback, and he's their leading rusher. He's their leading passer, obviously, and Jake Rutzlaff. Nothing about them stands out to me.
No.
And I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but a little bit maybe, because there's not a player that I'm watching on this team where I go, the level of competition they play, even his stats didn't overly impress me. I mean, he's their leading rusher. He has 610 yards.
Yeah.
It's not like you're looking at a Diego Pavia where he's got 1,000-something plus rushing yards and 3,000 passing yards or something crazy. 610 yards. Sure, he's got 16 touchdowns on the ground. I just don't think that's enough to beat a team like Ole Miss. And it wasn't the first time. Yeah. You got smoked 45-10. You also gave up 48 points to UTSA.
It's not great.
How are you a playoff team? And no disrespect, much love to my guys at Meet Nation.
There are boys.
I think they would even admit to this.
Yeah.
How do you give up 48 points to UTSA, who finished the season with like a 6-6 record?
Hey, they're bowl bound.
They finished with a 6-6 record.
And on top of that, I mean, we're not even talking about the other factor of like, hey, did you hear Lane Kiffin left Ole Miss for LSU? Do you think that team might be a little bit motivated here?
Yeah, well, I think, yeah.
I mean, yeah. I'd love to see some sort of wild upset from these G5 teams. No,
yeah.
It's just it's not going to happen.
What's your prediction for this one?
First one was 45-10. I think Tulane keeps it a little closer.
Okay,
45-13.
We're pretty close. We're pretty close.
What do you want me to say here?
Yeah, this isn't going to be a game. I think right now they're 17.5-point underdogs.
So, yeah,
there's no Jake Rutledge's not going to be able to do it all by himself. So I'm looking at this. I think Ole Miss. I don't think it's nearly as bad as last time, but it ain't going to be fun. I got 38-13.
Yeah, there's nothing I can see here that Tulane brings. I mean, yes, you can always, you could always control 40 minutes time of possession. You could force 3 turnovers.
They ain't doing that.
Until I see it with my eyes, touch it with my hands, I will not believe. Yeah.
This game and then another one, if you could guess, this next weekend will be the case on why this playoff system is broken the way it is.
Let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and do James Madison and Oregon, and then we'll get to the big boys here. I mean, listen. Here's what I'll say about JMU. They have no chance.
Point blank. Period.
Okay, but here's what I'll say. After Ohio State, do you know the number 2 statistically best defense? It's JMU.
I saw, yeah.
And stats are stats.
Stats are stats. We have often said that. I did write down James Madison, the key to this game is going to be on the ground game. Even then, I don't think it matters for them, but they're currently averaging like almost 250 yards on the ground. They only give up 76.
They are the number 2 defense. They are the best defense in America, not named Ohio State.
Yeah.
And also they have a really good offense, one of the statistically best offenses as well. The problem is that Oregon's defense is like number 4.
Yeah.
And Oregon's offense is just as good statistically and is probably better.
And their only loss was in a really relatively close game to
the eventual Big Ten champ.
to the eventual Big Ten champ and undefeated Indiana.
The level of competition, and this goes without saying, but I mean, if we're trying to break down this game, the problem for JMU is that the level of competition is just not remotely close.
Yeah.
Should they be proud of the season they had? 100%. Absolutely. Are they going to go into Autzen Stadium and believe they have a shot? Of course they are. Of course they are. They're going to go in there and believe they have a shot, because why do you show up if you don't? The problem is that they are just going to be outmatched on every side of the ball.
Yeah.
Again, much like Tulane, is there a chance that stingy defense really is that good? Yeah, there's a chance, but I don't see Oregon getting baited into that type of game, right? I mean, Wisconsin had some games this year, but it's just...
I just don't think I think Dan Lanning is too good of a coach. I'm trying to find a way,
and I just don't see a realistic way.
Yeah, I think Dan Lanning's way too good of a coach to drop a game like this. I think his team's going to be prepared. They're going to be ready to play. That's already a tough place to play at. Yeah. JMU's just going to be completely overwhelmed. Dante Moore's going to go out there and have himself a heck of a day. This is a team that legitimately has a shot to win a natty this year.
And by the way,
they're equally as talented as any of these other top teams. I mean, this is the first team that didn't get a bye.
Yeah.
So they're a dang good football team.
And a team from out east going all the way out west and playing a 10 p.m. kickoff body clock game.
It ain't gonna be fun.
Well, no, that's not true. That's not true. This game is not kicking off at 10 o'clock Eastern. It's kicking off at 7. It's a 4 o'clock game on the West Coast.
So it'll be fine.
I'm an idiot. Well, it's fine.
We knew that. Here's nothing I would love more than to watch JMU pull this upset.
Yeah.
Normally I can be a little crazy.
Yeah.
And I can convince myself of something. I just can't. I've tried really hard to convince myself how JMU gets this done.
Here's my bold statement here. James Madsen's going to lead this game 7-0. I think JMU puts together the scripted drive of all scripted drives, and then Oregon just absolutely pours it on from that point forward. When I did the little ESPN college football bracket, fill out whoever, I'm not going to walk you through all my picks, but I can tell you that I picked Oregon to win the whole thing.
My spicy take is that Oregon is up 20 before half, and this is a snooze fest. And you're sad that you're not sad because it's college football, but you're sad that it's bad college football. This is the prime
time game I was supposed to be watching.
Yeah, this is going to be a 20-point deficit at halftime.
42-10.
42-7. We're getting weirdly close on our stuff today, which kind of surprises me.
Yeah, I hope that one of those games is good, because you got the Alabama-Oklahoma we'll get to here in a second on Friday night. Then you've got the A&M Miami game at noon, which means there's a chance that your 3:30 and 7 o'clock games, because there's no other bowl games on. Yeah. There's a chance that it's a snooze fest. All college football is good college football.
What I really wanted was for JMU to somehow get matched up against Indiana, just because the storylines would have been amazing.
Yeah. It could still happen.
It won't.
In the national championship game.
Could you imagine? Oh, that would be the only way I'd be sad Ohio State didn't make it, is if JMU did.
Yeah, we ain't going to have to worry about that. Now, maybe, just maybe here, before we go on to the rest of these games, maybe you feel a bit like Sherrone Moore.
That hurts you.
I don't want to do this. You're trying to build like a champion. You might not know how to execute it because you're distracted. Aaron and the team at Elevated Integrity Construction have a winning pedigree and a team of All-Americans. They are a juggernaut of the industry. They've built a dynasty with championship builders. If you have a home, church, or business build, go with the folks with integrity in their name. It's elevatedintegrity.com. Something Sherrone Moore does not have. The Rivalry, also a proud member of the Varsity Network, powered by Learfield again this season. The must-have app if you call yourself a college football fan. Live broadcasts, on-demand podcasts like this one, free to download. So find the Varsity Network in the App Store and be sure to search for the Rivalry podcast. We also are thankful to our sponsors, the Ohio Sinus Institute, because you deserve better sinus care. You can get relief from the most experienced sinus specialist in Central Ohio, Dr. Boris Karanfilov, surgeon-led, personalized care with over 20 years of experience. That means minimally invasive procedures, in-office treatments, and on-site CT imaging for better, quicker answers. Thanks to the Ohio Sinus Institute. We are also proud partners with our friends at Homage this season. If you're watching on YouTube right now, yeah, they lost yesterday because football is no fun for anybody, but I've got a nice Detroit Lions retro shirt on from the boys at Homage.
We don't talk about the Browns.
Yeah, the NFL is no fun. Since 2007, that's why we talk college football, man. Since 2007, Homage has helped fans pay homage to the people, places, teams, and moments that matter most to them with quality craftsmanship, elite storytelling, and trademarked legendary comfort. As always, in the show description, in wherever you're listening right now or on YouTube, click the little Homage link there. Not only can you get yourself something nice for Christmas, but also you'll support the podcast when you do that. Speaking of the podcast, on social media at Rival Pod, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, everywhere that you are, we are too. Not TikTok. I don't think we're on TikTok.
We're on TikTok.
We're on TikTok. There you go.
You got to do it for the kids.
Rival Pod, rivalpod.com as well. If you want to support the podcast, we do have custom Rival Pod merch at rivalpod.com. We're a small budget podcast with postseason opportunities coming up for Ohio State. So if you want to support the podcast by throwing $5-10 our way, rivalpod.com as well. Or if that's not in your wheelhouse, that's fine. Would you subscribe? Doesn't sign you up for anything weird. Just subscribes, helps us out. Go ahead and do that. Thank you for rating and reviewing, telling a friend as well. Let's get back to the football. Let's talk Alabama, Oklahoma here.
I am so jacked that this game is this upcoming Friday. I don't think I was able to actually watch the first meeting because I feel like Ohio State had a game on at the exact same time. So I was watching that over it. It's going to be a great matchup. These two teams played each other earlier in the year. Oklahoma won that game 23-21. Correct me if I'm wrong here. Was that not the first game back for Mateer?
I don't think it was.
It was close though, right?
No, because his first game back was Red River.
Yeah, okay.
Where he looked terrible because he clearly wasn't healthy. Yeah.
This game, to me, and I think there's a lot of extra storylines that go with this. We talked about it earlier this episode. I think if DeBoer loses this one, I think the Michigan job starts to be a little bit more enticing. And I don't even know if it's entirely his decision. I think that Alabama fan base is similar to Ohio State. And honestly, I would even throw Michigan in this loop, where their leash is a little bit shorter than most. And a 4-loss season where you lose to Oklahoma twice, you get into the playoffs when a lot of people don't think you should have. You get blown out in the SEC championship, and you had a disappointing season last year as well.
Didn't make the playoffs.
Things are going to start to want to be moved in Alabama. And so it wouldn't surprise me if Alabama ends up dropping this game, that you start to see a little bit more fire under his seat.
Yep.
And that Michigan job starts to look a little bit more realistic for him.
Boomer Sooner from Ann Arbor all the way to Norman.
However, I don't think that happens. I think that this game is one where they get back on track. Both of these teams struggle to run the ball, both near the bottom of the SEC. 116 yards per game for Bama, 123 yards per game for Oklahoma. The last time they played, the score 23-21, but Alabama doubled their total yards. They had 400-something to Oklahoma's 200. What sealed that game for them was they had 3 turnovers.
Yep.
They didn't take care of the ball. They also couldn't run the ball, but neither did Oklahoma. That was the biggest differentiator. Yeah. If those turnovers don't happen, which, I mean, you can't take away, but Alabama to me was clearly the better football team. And so this game feels like it should be a really intriguing matchup because I do think Oklahoma has a really good defense, and I like John Mateer a lot. Ty Simpson's been a baller. He was up there in the Heisman conversation up until that horrible performance in the SEC championship. And so I'm looking at this game, and I've got Alabama winning it.
What's your score?
27-17. I think they clean it up. I don't think either team runs the ball well, but I think it comes down to who do I trust at quarterback more, and I think it's got to be Simpson. And I think they take care of the ball this time around.
Oh, I mean, I don't disagree with anything you said. I mean, Oklahoma's defense is one of the best defenses in the country. And again, as a Michigan guy, it was kind of nice to see as the year went on to go, okay, our inability with our, second game for our true freshman quarterback, our inability to protect him or to move the ball or throw the ball. Okay, maybe that's not awful.
Yeah.
Now and again, obviously Michigan's offense had their own issues this season, but it did make me feel a little bit better to be like, why can't we protect? Because Oklahoma's got one of the best defenses in the country. Yeah. Norman's a tough place to play. I agree with your analysis too. Alabama, I mean, just should have absolutely wiped the floor with Oklahoma. But when you can't take care of the football, you can't take care of the football. And that game was also at home for Alabama. Going on the road is a bit of a different story too. Here's the deal. Everything in me says, look at how Alabama played them the first time around. But I also have not loved the way Alabama has finished off the season. I also think that God and Touchdown Jesus are mad about the Notre Dame snub. I'm going to take Oklahoma.
Okay.
I'm going to take Oklahoma 20-17. Low scoring game. I don't think anybody runs the ball well. I mean, this is not rocket science, but I think Alabama turns the ball over and ends up being -2.
Oh, wow.
I think Alabama ends up -2 into the turnover margin, and that's your game. In a 3-point game, that's all it takes.
I think my favorite this is honestly my favorite matchup of the weekend, because whoever wins this game has to go play in the Rose Bowl against Indiana. Yeah. And I think either of these teams match up very well against Indiana. I would be really excited to watch that matchup. So I don't honestly even care. Alabama losing always feels like a win to me.
Well, yeah, of course.
And I've been high on them this whole season. I feel like I've said numerous times that I still feel like they've got that championship pedigree. I don't know if I feel that way as much now based off what I saw in the SEC championship, but I really like Simpson. I think he's honestly probably my favorite quarterback coming out this year. I just feel so strong that they're going to find a way to get revenge on Oklahoma to pull this out. You're going to get an Alabama-Indiana matchup in the Rose Bowl.
It'd be a good game.
It's going to be just peak.
We've saved this one for last because this is the game that will have the implications for Ohio State on New Year's Eve night in the Cotton Bowl. Yeah, in the Cotton Bowl. Ohio State will get the winner of Miami at Texas A&M. This is a noon kick on Saturday at Kyle Field. These two teams are Spider-Man meme pointing at each other in my estimation.
You think?
I think these are mirror image teams.
I think, and I know you're probably going to disagree with this. If I'm looking, and I am obviously an Ohio State fan here, who I want to play versus who I think we're going to play is different.
So give me, before we dive into it, tell me who, as an Ohio State fan, you would rather play, and I'll tell you who I'd rather you play.
I would rather play Texas A&M.
That's who I'd rather you play.
I want to play.
That's fascinating.
Really? I would much rather play Texas A&M right now than play Miami.
Wow. Okay. So let's go into that then, because clearly if I'm, as the Michigan fan, going, yeah, I'd like to see you play A&M too, we may be on different sides of this game. Here's what both these defenses are really good in my estimation.
Really?
And here's the thing. Because stats are stats.
I've got some stats.
The Aggies defense, number 1 sack rate, number 2 havoc rate. However, and this is where it gets a little bit iffy, they give up a ton of points.
And that's one of the biggest things I marked down.
And so my big question for either of these teams, because Miami's got a really good defense and their offense can be good, but also sometimes Carson Beck forgets who he's throwing to. Which version of which team shows up?
Well, see, and I think when you're talking about Carson Beck specifically, outside of was it Louisville that he threw 4? He had 4 interceptions in?
Something like that, yeah.
Outside of that, I mean, his past 4 games, he's been stellar.
He has been very good down the stretch.
11 touchdowns, 1 interception, 1,169 yards. So Carson Beck on a hot streak with paired up with a really dang good defense. They're 6th in the nation in total defense, 13.8 points per game. I don't want to face that.
But I would
saw Carson Beck last year at Georgia still play well. Yep. I honestly think that Georgia team beats Notre Dame if he plays in that. Healthy. I've said it numerous times.
The problem is that I'm looking at A&M giving up a ton of points. I mean, they give up 40 to Notre Dame, 42 to Arkansas. Mm-hmm. They were down 30-3 to South Carolina. They lost it, but yet I also look at it and go, if you can get a team that can pressure Carson Beck, can pressure him into mistakes. And so that's where it's like, well, can they get there? And this is why I just feel so much that these are mirror teams. I go, Your defenses could show up or they could not. Your offenses could show up or they could not. I just don't know.
And I hear you talking about the sack rate and the havoc rate and all that, but I'm going, okay, well, they're still high on that, but still giving up 40-plus points. I marked down the same thing you did. 42 points to Arkansas, 30 to South Carolina, 40 to Notre Dame, and then I wrote down 24 to UTSA. I'm looking at that and I go, oh, I know the weapons Ohio State has. I don't care if your sack rate or your havoc rate is high because it still doesn't really matter in half your games. You're still giving up a ton of points. And I'm looking at a team like Ohio State who's got one of the most efficient offenses in the nation. And I'm going, yeah, I'll take my chances. Mm-hmm. And then, you got a really explosive offense. You have Marcel Reed, who's been a stud. Not overwhelmingly, but like he's a great player. He's a great player. And I go, yeah, I'll put the number one defense in the nation up against that. And I like the chances. Miami's the one that scares me more. And scared's not the right word because I think Ohio State, and obviously we'll talk about it more, I think Ohio State can beat either of these teams.
For sure. I also think either of them could probably beat Ohio State on the right day.
Any team could. I mean, look at Michigan last year.
James Madison.
No.
Okay.
In a different universe, in a different day, sure. Maybe. But I'm looking at this game and I'm going, you get Carson Beck, who's been hot late. They started the season really well, and you've got a phenomenal defense. This is an underrated Miami team in my mind. I know they get a lot of hate because I think they did lose to Louisville and then SMU, and shouldn't have lost either of those games. But I would put this team the same as I do with Alabama. Did they have some really bad losses that they shouldn't have had?
The ceiling is high.
Yeah, the ceiling is high, and the floor is, oh my gosh.
Okay,
but I think they hit that ceiling more than they hit the oh my gosh.
And I think that's a fair assessment. Like I went a different way with it, but I don't think that's an incorrect assessment. I mean, A&M gives up a ton of points. They also score a ton of points. And so if I'm looking at it, and again, I'm trying to think through, if I've got a team going in to play Ohio State, forget this game for a moment, but if I'm looking at it from the Michigan side going, who do I think has the better chance to beat Ohio State? I think you make a good argument for Miami, but I would also say that A&M, when they are firing, I mean, I need a team that probably can put up some points.
But here's where I think, and this is obviously where I think we're going to differ. I look at Indiana and Ohio State, and I go, okay, Indiana had one of the most explosive offenses in the nation, and Ohio State was able to shut them down relatively. I mean, it took a lot of work, but they were able to shut them down. 13 points gives you a chance to win. Gives you a chance to win. So I don't think offense is enough. I think in order to beat this Ohio State team, you've got to have an elite level defense like Indiana had. You got to have both. And I don't think Texas A&M has both. I think Miami does.
You know what? I think I'd buy that. What's odd here is that as much as I'm clamoring for I'd rather see Texas A&M, not only are you kind of convincing me the other way, I picked Miami in this game.
Same. What's your final?
I took Miami 31-24.
Samesies. Look at us. Miami 31-24. You can see my note right there. Don't look at my other prediction yet. Yeah, 31-24. Are we the same person?
I hate this podcast so much.
Wow, this is amazing.
Many people are saying that in our YouTube comments as well. Yeah, all right. So we both agree on Miami getting the upset win. We both obviously took Ole Miss and Oregon. You took where we differed was you took Alabama, I took Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Both of those.
I could go the other way on that.
Both the Power 4 matchups are going to be fantastic games. I don't have high hopes for the other ones, but again, all college football this time of year is good college
Friday
football.
night, don't ask me to do anything. I'm going to be sitting in front of that TV.
I am busy.
Yeah, the whole weekend.
How about a little stupid genius here?
Yeah, we got to.
Thanks to the Ohio Sinus Institute. Just pick any. I guess we're going to do this for the bowl season. Just pick any game in bowl season that is
pick a game
pick an upset.
This is my favorite.
I don't even care what the spread is at this point. Just pick somebody.
I had to look up and see what this actual bowl game was called, and it's surprisingly enough one that Rutgers normally makes. Penn State and Clemson in the Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl. Right now, Clemson is 4.5-point favorites. I don't think that matters. I think Penn State wins this one. This is a Penn State team that, despite all of their struggles, all their issues this season, still has a really good defense. They still have Katron Allen. And I think their quarterback, Grunkmeyers, is going to be a little bit more comfortable back there. Clemson's been a team that's loaded with talent and has underperformed numerous times this season. And I think it would be really funny to watch them lose again, watch Alabama lose, and then all the prophecy that I spoke in the beginning of the season come true, where DeBoer leaves, goes to Michigan, and then Dabo leaves Clemson and goes to Bama.
You got to stop with the Dabo to Bama thing.
Until next season starts and Dabo is still talking in a Clemson shirt, I think it's going to happen.
I also went with a game being played in a baseball stadium, which I have already said on this podcast.
Horrible idea.
Stop, when Michigan went to Wrigley, stop playing football games in stadiums that aren't football stadiums. I hate it. And I likened it to the old Oakland Raiders when it's like, hey, it's a football stadium. It's also a baseball field.
Yeah, you'd like see the diamond.
Here's the dirt. Who tripped over first base. Stop doing that. Or these fields where it's like, you can clearly see the soccer goal there. What are we doing here? How about the Wasabi Fenway Bowl?
That's the sure thing.
Army is favored by 7 points over UConn. Give me UConn, man.
Yeah, UConn's winning. What's their quarterback? Their quarterback's been a stud all season.
I just know Jim Moore has done a great job with UConn. I know he's going to Colorado State now, but listen, win one for the Gipper or something. I don't know. I don't know anything about UConn. I know they went 9-3, and as far as I know, UConn's usually horrible.
I forget their quarterback's name, and I'm not trying to disrespect him. Fagnano or something.
Sure, that sounds like a person.
He's been awesome this season.
Sure, that's why I picked him. I just learned his name just now.
There you go. No, UConn. You totally knew it the whole time.
All two of our UConn fans watching this live
we have
stream.
Two.
Whatever.
There's two?
I don't even know
there
if
are two of them?
Enjoy your college football this weekend. I'm so sorry about everything. Please subscribe to this podcast. The Rivalry Podcast is part of the Varsity Network from Learfield and the River Podcast Network from River Radio Ministries.
New episodes out every Monday.
Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you're listening right now, and follow on social media at RivalPod and RivalPod.com.
And if you like what you hear, share with a friend so they can listen too.